Hey everyone, it's Jasmine, and today we're doing Sun Salutation A. Sun Salutation A is a sequence pose that could be typically used as a standalone practice or as a warm up practice that you can include before you move on to a more advanced sequence or just your sequence for the day. I typically love to use Sun Salutation A as a moving meditation for me when my mind is a little chaotic, I'm all over the place. I get on my mat and I simply go through this repetitive movement. And it's also a really great energy kind of burner. I'm sweating probably by the end of it. If you're looking to add Sun Salutation A into your warm up, I recommend to do around 3 to 5 rounds on both sides. And if you'd like to do it as a standalone practice, I recommend typically maybe 8 to 10 rounds of Sun Salutation A. Either way, it's a really great sequence to heat things up. So before we get started with our sequence today, let's begin with a warm up. We're going to begin in an easy seated pose here. So I'm just going to remove my bolster off my mat. And then also, I have some blocks with me today. And we have our legs straightened out in front of us here in an easy seated pose. And then I'm just going to bring my legs out a little bit wider. So feet hanging off the mat here. And I have blocks just to help me bring the earth a little bit closer to me in case I need it. So I'm going to place these over here until the time is right. Inhale, arms up. And then we're going to reach over to the right side of our body in this wide-legged forward fold. You could also use your other block too here. And this could be a really great substitute for the ground, bringing it just a little bit closer to you. Inhale, rise up just a little. Exhale with a deeper fold here. Inhale, rising all the way up. And then we're just going to switch over to the opposite side here. And we're breathing here. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, forward fold. Return to a neutral position. And then inhale, sweeping our arms up. And then we're going to take our right hand, placing it behind us, and then twisting over to your right side here. Chest is open. And then if it feels right, you can look over your right shoulder. And we're breathing. Repeat on the opposite side, hands up, and then exhale. Now we're placing our left hand behind us and looking over your left shoulder if that's comfortable for you. Chest open. And return to a neutral spot here. And I'm just going to place my blocks in between my legs. And my feet are still hanging off the mat here. And I just want to rest a little bit, stretch forward here in our wide legged forward fold, seated position. Ooh, this feels really good. Inhale, rise up just a tad. And then, if you like, you can move your blocks and feel free to place your forearms on the ground if that's comfortable for you as we bend a little bit deeper. Inhale, rising up. And now we're going to bring our legs over to the side of the mat. And we're going to be in a nice tabletop position here. And what I love to do best is the hip circle. So imagine if you have a marker that is implanted right into your belly button. And what you like to do with that marker is make some circles on your mat. So imagine that you're drawing circles with your belly button. And these circles could be as big or as small as you like. All right. And if you could do probably about 3 or 4 more circles in this direction. And on your last circle, stop in the center and then repeat in the opposite direction. All right. And return to your tabletop position here. Arms should be standing strong, pressing against the earth here. And now we're just going to sit into child's pose today. Feet touching, hips going back, and your arms could be straightened out, or you can also rest your hands, your head on your hands or a block. Inhale, look forward, and then rise yourself back into a tabletop position. We're going to push our hips back and up for a downward dog. First one for today. And feel free to pedal it out here by bending one knee at a time, taking your dog for a walk. And if you do have a dog, if you don't mind, to drop their names in the comments. I always like to see what the pups are named. And now we're sitting still in our downward dog. Feel free to have a nice bend in your knees if you like, or working your legs as straight as possible or towards straight as possible. Inhale, looking at the top of your mat. You can widen your stance and walk forward to the top of your mat here. And meet me in a forward fold. Knees could be bent. You can use the blocks here to bring the ground closer to you. And we're here in our forward fold pose, breathing. And now pressing into all four corners of each feet. We're going to roll up our spine here into a mountain pose. That was our warm up. Let's start with Sun Salutation A. In Sun Salutation A, we're going to complete the sequence on both sides, the right and the left side of our body. And at first, we're going to just integrate some modified poses and then go into the full poses here. So, again, have my blocks with me. They're best friends, A and B. Don't have a name for them yet, but you can also drop that in the chat. Let's begin at the top of our mat with our feet hip distance apart here. And then we're just going to have our hands at heart center. Inhale, arms up into an extended mountain pose. Exhale, bring it down to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, and then we're going to step into a supported plank here. Reaching your crown forward, dropping down to your belly with your hands at the side of your rib cage here. Inhale, lifting up for a cobra. Exhale, down. Pushing back into your plank pose, supported plank, and then back into your downward dog position. Inhale, lifting your right leg up. Step into a runner's lunge position. And then bringing your back foot to meet your front, back into forward fold. Inhale, extended mountain pose. Exhale, hands at heart. Now let's repeat that pose on the opposite side. Beginning hands at heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring it down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Step it back to your supported plank. Lower down. Inhale, cobra. Back to your supported plank. Downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your left leg up. Step into your runner's lunge. Forward fold. Rise up. Extended mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart. Great. So now what we plan to do with Sun Salutation A is move through 2 full rounds, and feel free to use the supported plank option that I just shared with you, or follow with me for a more traditional Sun Salutation A. There's so many variations of Sun Salutation A. However, we're just going to utilize the one that I show you today. So you have two options. Let's get started. So we're back here at the top of our mat, hands at heart center. Set an intention, calm yourself. I'm really speaking to myself here. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, rain it down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, shoulders away from ears, flat back. Exhale, and now we're going to step it into a runner's lunge here. Chest open as well. Stepping back to a plank pose, full plank or supported. And then lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, sweeping your right leg up, stepping back into your runner's lunge, bringing your back leg to the front, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands at heart. Inhale, hands up. Bring it down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step it back with your left leg, runner's lunge. Plank. Lower down. Inhale, cobra. Downward dog. Sweeping your left leg up. Step into your runner's lunge. Into forward fold. Pressing into all four corners. Hands at heart. Last round, everyone. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, rain it down. Halfway lift. Stepping back, runner's lunge with your left leg. Plank. Lower to cobra. Downward dog. Sweeping your left leg into runner's lunge. Step into forward fold. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands at heart. Whew. As you can tell, sun salutation is a really good flow that really gets your heart rate pumping. I'm over here like, whew, yeah, give me a second. This is something that you can use at the beginning of your warm up or just its own practice. 8 to 10 rounds of this, y'all. I'm gonna need a real massive water break. So this is just something that I typically like to incorporate. I use sun salutation at the beginning of my practice as a warm up. I typically do about 2 rounds before I start my actual sequence here. So if you love this, please come back to it and just begin to incorporate it into your practice. Before we leave, we're going to do a cool down because we need it for sure. So I'm just going to sit here back in the center of my mat. And we're going to start our cool down in a easy seated pose with our legs straight out in front of us here. And then feel free to grab your blocks. We're just going to use them like how we did at the beginning of our practice, with our legs kind of spilling off on the mat here. Inhale, lifting your hands up and then bringing over. Here, I'm going to actually place both of my hands on the outside of the block here for a nice side stretch pose on my left side of my body here. Inhale, just sit up just a little, and then we're going to return back to a forward fold. Oh, it's a nice stretch for me. back to a neutral position, and then inhale, arms up, and then bringing both hands to the outside of our left leg here. Inhale, rising up. Exhale for a deeper stretch. See if you can get into one. Hmm. And we're going to do some shoulder rolls here because why not? Feels so, so good. And we're going to bring our legs back into the mat here. Feel free to just fix your clothes if you need to. And then we're going to lay down for our Shavasana for today. And for my Shavasana today, I'm going to rest in a constructive rest with my knees touching here. Feel free to have your legs straighten if you like. And just soak in today's practice. Hopefully, your heart rate has lowered a little and you're now back to a normal breathing pace. And now I will go quiet while we are in Shavasana, and I will come back to get us all. If your eyes are closed, begin to open them. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, and roll over to each, whatever side you like. Put your body resting in a fetal position here, just for a moment before we close out in our practice. And then pressing up into whatever comfortable pose that you like to be in to end this practice. I really appreciate you spending time with me today as we went through Sun Salutation A. Remember, it is a great sequence that you can use at the beginning of your warm up, or it could be a standalone practice. You see how your girl was breathing here. I appreciate you, and I hope that you come back. Until next time, bye.